Oh yes, we are so back. We kick things off with our hero, who recalls how he had run away from his responsibilities like most people do in the modern world. At that time, he had realized that he was running away from his old world, which seemed to include a grumpy boss. When he had arrived to the other world, he ended up going on a road trip with a cute girl he had just met. Clearly, our hero was enjoying the typical life at Comic Guzzlers. In this process, though, he had decided to reflect on how he used to live in his previous world. Now, we are taken to a flashback where we see the grumpy old boss totally losing his mind at our hero, who does not seem to have completed his task. His name is revealed to be Umi, and then his superior, Yamazaki, is also scolded for not having given him the right instructions for his work. Our hero just stands there, striking a pose as if he's going to arise a shadow army. But the truth is that he's basically an incompetent employee. Yamazaki tries to calm down the grumpy boss by telling him the meeting has already been delayed, so they will be able to get the job done by then. The bald boss is not too happy about the way things have gone either way, so he tells Umi that he disappoints him. This may have gotten to our hero's head as his expression changes upon hearing this. Now, we see him outside a shopping mall in his car, and he wonders how he even made it this far. He remembers being scolded at, and he had taken the laptop with the updated files on it, but this was mainly to avoid getting another scolding from his bald boss. Then, Umi goes into some kind of deep thinking wherein he wonders how his boss could have been disappointed in him when he never had any expectations from him in the first place. Unfortunately, this is not something that ChatGPT can answer, but either way, Umi feels that he should be allowed to work at his own pace. He also reveals that Yamazaki is not really his superior, but likes to order him around as if he is his boss. Umi does not look like he can work formally, but he does not care about that because he feels he is doing the best he can. Our hero gets some stuff to eat and then plans to goof around till he falls asleep. Tomorrow is Friday, which is every salaryman's dream day, but Umi doesn't care because he plans to simply escape to somewhere else. He then prepares to sleep and plans out exactly how he's going to enjoy a nice meal and hot spring bath during his escape. He also considers quitting his job to find something more suited to his style, but in this economy, it's just easier to win the lottery. Having said that, Umi is confident in his abilities and he passes out while planning his new life. Suddenly, he wakes up and finds himself in the back of his car. This is a bit confusing, but it gets even more odd when our hero sees himself in some kind of jungle. Naturally, he wonders how he got here because he was in the Ashigara service area before going to sleep. He believes he may have sleepwalked into his car and driven somewhere, but even Daredevil should not be able to drive with such ease. Umi checks for dents on his car and can hear some sounds, but most surprisingly, he notices a cute babe lying down in front of the car. She is dressed in peculiar adventure attire, so our hero wonders where she came from. Clearly, this is Umi's first time in a Comic Guzzlers video, so he is not familiar with how our stories work. Umi figures this is not a good situation to be in, because it looks like he banged his car into this girl. He needs to get out of here as soon as he can, but then he takes a closer look at the girl. There don't seem to be any signs of a collision, so there's no proof of him crashing into her. But if this is the case, then why is the girl on the ground as if she just got hit by something? Suddenly, she makes a sound, and this makes our hero very happy because she is alive. He tries to talk to the girl, but then he notices something that would make men of culture very happy. This girl seems to have cat ears, which is definitely something you don't see on Earth. Umi can't believe what he is seeing, but the important thing is that the cat girl is not hurt. Things only get weirder for our hero when he notices that the cat girl has a bunny tail. It's a strange combo for sure, but she does happen to be the real deal. Umi touches her tail because he can't help himself, and then he wonders if he should call a vet or something. He is clearly not thinking straight himself, but when he touches the girl's tail, she reacts by making a cute sound. The cat girl has woken up and she looks back to see Umi shadily holding on to her tail. The look on her face says it all. So our hero tries to explain himself and his actions. The girl pushes him away and asks him what he is doing. She also calls him a dirty old man, which is definitely more hurtful than being beaten up. The cat girl reveals her name to be Kiara and asks Umi why he was being shady with her. Our hero tells her that he was not doing anything shady, but was rather trying to save her life. We all know that's a lie, but at least Umi is happy to see Kiara being so energetic. He confirms Kiara's name with her one more time, and the cat girl looks very cute even when she threatens Umi with a knife. She calls him an old man again after he says that she talks like a little kid, and this makes our hero offended. He tells her that he's only 26, so that doesn't make him old. But Kiara says that she is of the age where anyone above 20 would be like Drake to her. Suddenly, she drops the tough girl act and starts behaving emotional. She says she will never forgive Umi for what he has done to her, and she begins crying out of nowhere. Our hero tries to comfort her with his words, but then he realizes that Kiara is not really crying. Her stomach is making that weird noise, so it means the cat girl is very hungry right now. Our hero tells Kiara that he has some cup ramen which he would not mind sharing with her, and this makes her really happy. Kiara's eyes totally light up on hearing the prospect of food, but she says that she does not have any money to pay him. Umi tells her there's no need for that, and she should just think of the ramen as his way of saying sorry for shadily grabbing her bunny tail. Our hero now takes out the ramen and fills it with hot water, after which he asks Kiara to give it some time to settle. Luckily for her, Umi carries his water heater with him in the car, so that makes instant ramen easy to make even when he's traveling. Now we learn about our hero's car, which is called the Q-Bishi Automobile Outrunner FEV Evolution. The FEV happens to be the main point of the car, as it's a part of a new supply of electronic vehicles. When his tank is full, the car is able to store some extra electricity, and that's what makes boiling the water possible even in a new world. Kiara watches on in amazement as the car does its thing and heats up the water in front of her. While this is happening, Umi decides to give Kiara something else to eat, but she has no idea what it is. It turns out to be seaweed that our hero had bought from the convenience store. The cat girl worries that she might be getting tricked into eating something moldy, but our hero confirms that the nori seaweed is very much edible. Kiara still has a hard time believing that something so dark can be edible. She asks once again if it can be eaten, and Umi nervously tells her yes. Since seeing is believing, our hero eats some of it first to prove to Kiara that the seaweed is very much edible. It's quite tasty, so Umi definitely enjoys the taste, and then he hands the rest over to the cat girl. One bite is all it takes for her to fall in love with the snack, and she starts speaking with food in her mouth to reveal a cute accent. Umi corrects her speech, although most men of culture would prefer for her to continue speaking this way. Seeing the cat girl enjoy the seaweed so much makes Umi wonder if she shares the same sense of taste as he does, which is a very relevant question. Now, our hero takes a look around the forest and convinces himself that he has been summoned to another world. He does not see any slimes or monsters nearby, so that's a good thing for him. What's even funnier is that his car's GPS system still shows him being in the Ashigara service area, although that is most definitely not the case. There is nothing from the previous world that he can see here, not even Mount Fuji, which is messed up. Umi takes another look at Kiara and deduces that she is indeed a beast girl, but with traits of two beasts, which could be a case of hybrid mating. As he stares at her, Umi thinks of himself as being inside a fantasy RPG. Kiara notices our hero looking at her, so she asks him what's up. He simply avoids the question by saying the cup noodles are ready. This is enough to distract Kiara, and then she enjoys a yummy cup of ramen. As she eats, Umi asks her what kind of place this is. As a matter of fact, She seems to understand his Japanese language, so something must be up. Kiara is visibly confused by what he has just said, and clarifies that they are not speaking in Japanese. The language of this world is Overthexan, and Umi seems to be getting the words automatically translated as he speaks and listens. The cat girl also reveals that they are currently at the edge of the 10th allied country, known as Hemyun. Umi is still not able to get over the fact that he is suddenly speaking an alien language all of a sudden, but Kiara confirms just as much. As he tries to figure out how things work here, Kiara thanks him for the food he gave her. This means that she does have an understanding of typical thanks and greetings. Now, even Kiara gains some curiosity as she notices our hero's car. She takes a look at the vehicle and asks what kind of house this is. However, it's a little too late to be surprised by such things now. Umi also explains to her that this is not a house, but rather a car. Kiara can't seem to believe that such a heavy item can move, but Umi says it's known for that very thing. She shifts her attention to the water kettle and is amazed that it was able to boil water without using any fire. All of these new discoveries have taken Kiara by surprise, so she wants to know exactly who Umi is. Our hero once again tells her that it's a bit too late to be asking such questions. Anyway, he doesn't know how to introduce himself either. He openly tells the cat girl that he is from another world, and while this may be shocking to most, she actually responds as if people get summoned here every Sunday afternoon. Our hero is the one in shock now because he didn't expect Kiara to be so chill about something so serious. He asks her if she knows about the whole concept of summoning, and she says yes. She then reveals that she spoke to someone else who was also from another world just yesterday. Umi is clearly not able to process this information easily, but then Kiara reveals that the other person definitely did not have a car like his. Either way, our hero wants to meet this other person so that he can figure out a way to get back to his old world and his bald boss. The cat girl says that the other person also didn't know how to get back home, and seemingly needed a lot of power to get to this place. Clearly, traveling to other worlds is no small feat. On the contrary, Umi reveals that he was able to get here while he was actually asleep. This comes as a shocker to the cat girl, and she doesn't know how to react to this information. She then says that she can't really get caught up in this mess because she has work to do. Umi is surprised to learn that the cat girl has a job, and she reveals that she works as a courier girl. Her job right now is to take a letter in her pouch and get it delivered by the due date. All of this is fine, but sleeping on the job isn't exactly a noble thing to do. Kiara explains that she was actually trying to save time by taking a shortcut, but then she ran into some monsters, so she needed to get some rest after avoiding them. This is exactly what Umi was worried about, so he asks Kiara if she came across slimes and stuff. She, however, states that there is no such thing as a slime, and all the monsters that came at her were undead. This is even worse than what our hero had imagined, because he has basically been summoned into a world where zombies exist. He begins to panic because he must have seen movies like Train to Busan, but Kiara tells him not to lose his cool because the zombies won't come to this part of the forest. The bad news is that there were a ton of these zombies, and the only reason Kiara was able to avoid them was because she's quick on her feet. Even so, the cat girl wasn't fast enough to save her food bag, which explains why she was so hungry when Umi came to this world. Now that the pleasantries have been exchanged, Kiara tells Umi that she will get going, but that does seem a bit insincere considering he did help her out with food. Getting ditched by a cute girl isn't something that guys like Umi would be unfamiliar with, but when Kiara tries to walk away, she falls to the ground, probably because of something in her leg. Umi tends to her and has a look at her leg to see what's up. He takes off her boot and notices that the cat girl has sprained her ankle. Kiara tries to brush it off by saying she'll manage, but chivalry isn't dead where Umi comes from. He takes her on his shoulders and says that she really shouldn't push herself when there are monsters and zombies roaming around the forest. He gets Kiara to sit inside his car, and then he tries to look up a solution on his phone. Sadly for him, he forgot the fact that he's not getting any signal here, and the internet does not exist in this world. That's a nightmare for most kids of today, but Umi does know the basics, so he gets a wet towel to cool down the bruise. He even manages to dress up Kiara's wound and hopes to bring a first aid kit the next time something like this happens. The cat girl is visibly impressed by our hero's actions and thanks him again for his kindness. Having said that, she feels things are going to get even tougher now because her boot is a tight fit. The cat girl will not be able to run properly now, but Umi tells her not to run at all because her leg is swollen. Kiara worries that she may not be able to deliver her letter in time, but that's no reason to risk her life. Plus, it's going to get dark very soon, and there are no street lights for vision either. Kiara says that the darkness is another reason for her to hurry up because it's at night when the monsters really come to life. That's not good news for Umi at all, and he asks if there is any kind of route they can use to escape the forest. Kiara says that if Umi is able to drive his car, then they will be able to make it through the forest and head straight towards the grasslands. This does make our hero more optimistic, especially because there are signs of a road, but then the cat girl reveals a footprint which seems to belong to a flame dragon. She then says that they are probably on Dragon Road, but hearing a sentence like that is enough to make any man want to pray to God. The cat girl doesn't make it any better for him by saying that flame dragons use this route frequently, and since they are more of night creatures, they should be getting ready to hunt soon. She adds that if a flame dragon ends up catching Umi, then he doesn't have much of a survival chance. None of this will motivate anyone to even try to survive, but then Kiara realizes she may have been too scary, so she says that since the road is big, it should be mostly safe. That isn't enough to convince our hero to chill, but he does manage to come up with an idea. He wants to make a deal with Kiara, and it's quite simple. He will give her a free ride in his car, and in exchange, she will give him directions to escape this forest. The cat girl does not need a free ride because she is quick, but Umi reminds her that her foot is injured, and even if it wasn't, she still wouldn't be able to match the speed of his car. She does not know about that because the roads will be bumpy and it will be easy for the car to get stuck. Umi tells her not to look down on Japanese cars, especially four-wheel drives. Kiara looks around the car and asks if it runs on steam, because she can't see a horse anywhere. Umi explains that it runs on electricity instead of steam, but the fact that Kiara even brought it up means that steam engines exist in this world. The car girl says that using such engines would generate a lot of sound, and that will not be a good idea if you're trying to avoid flame dragons. However, Umi doesn't have to worry about such things because he knows that his car is super quiet. He tries to strike a confident pose again, but he's not Sung Jin Woo, as can be seen in his trembling at the mere thought of a dragon. Anyway, Kiara figures it can't be helped, so she decides to hop into the car. She also refers to Umi as out, which confuses him. This is because he keeps referring to his car as the Outrunner, so Umi tries to clarify that misunderstanding. He reveals his full name to be Arato Umi, but Kiara says Omi, which is Japanese for you. Our hero is visibly annoyed, and he also tells the cat girl not to enter from the rear, as that is something that guys usually do. Now, Umi turns on the car and lets out the headlights, which amazes Kiara. She can't believe that the car is glowing and that too with such brightness, so Umi is glad that he is able to flex a bit. He thanks the power of LEDs and tells Kiara that this is not even the half of it. He puts his foot on the accelerator and the car moves forward. This is normal to us, but the cat girl is amazed by such movements. What's more is that there is no sound at all, so Kiara demands to know what is going on with the car. Umi simply laughs and tells her that this is the true power of an electric vehicle. Kiara also notices that the chair is warm, but Umi is surprised that it took her so long to figure that out. The cat girl is amazed by the vehicle, but she continues to refer to Umi as out. It's getting really dark out here now, and Kiara is visibly concerned. After all, She has never been in a car driving through a forest in the middle of the night, but Umi tells her that it is still a lot better than having to run with a bruised ankle. Our hero can't really step up the speed because that will simply cause the engine to make a little noise, which will attract the monsters in the area. Also, even though his headlights are on, it's still pitch black, making this scene look straight out of a horror film. Luckily, the car isn't wobbling at all because it has a mode set for rough roads. Our hero's peace of mind is immediately disturbed when he hears a loud roar that would make anyone scared for their life. Naturally, Umi panics and asks what the hell that was, to which Kiara says it's a flame dragon. She looks at him with an anxious face, and Umi realizes they were going way too slow to avoid the dragons. They don't need to worry about making any noise right now, so he steps on the pedal to go full throttle. Umi activates the racer within, and Kiara is surprised to see how fast his car can go. Our hero hopes to just floor it and make it out of the forest, but that does sound like a huge gamble. As luck would have it, his risk pays off, and the couple are able to escape the forest without having to deal with the flame dragon. Both Kiara and Umi breathe a sigh of relief, and the cat girl continues to compliment him for being so fast. The thing is, now they are on a normal road, which is perfect to be able to feel the real power of the car. The cat girl says that now the flame dragon will not chase them because they are out of the forest. That's great news for Umi, but he could definitely feel the monster's presence when he first heard its roar. This was the moment that made him realize that he was truly inside another world. There's no time to think about such things though, because they have already reached the next forest in front of them. The couple seems to be going a bit too fast for their own good, so Umi asks which direction he is supposed to be heading towards. Kiara says they're already going the right way, but it won't be a good idea to go through this new forest, because it's thicker than Kim Kardashian. Plus, it's darker than Kanye West's tweets, so it would be better to avoid the forest at this time. They will simply have to wait till it's morning for them to go around the forest, which means it's camping time. It helps that the area is flat, meaning most of the animals won't come around here, making it a safe zone of sort. Umi doesn't find that very comforting because his emphasis is on the word most. Anyway, they are safe now, so he turns off the car and takes a moment to relax. Our hero has just gotten out of a terrifying situation, so it makes sense, but then he notices a beautiful sight in the night sky. He is amazed by the stars as he can see a lot of them, but Kiara says that's just how this world is. Umi finds it fascinating, but when he turns around to see the cat girl, she seems to be spraying something. It's animal repellent, which should keep them away, and she also uses holy water to keep the unholy monsters away. All of this is great, but the problem is that it does not work on dragons. That's fair considering how powerful they are, and Kiara says that if Umi needs to do any business, he will have to do it within this circle. Our hero doesn't get it at first, but then he does, as do all of us. In order to fulfill his bathroom duties, Umi is given a cloth by Kiara, but he does not understand how this will help him. That's when he realizes that the cat girl has to do her own business, and she does not want him to look. She's ready to bring her knife out too, but Umi tells her to calm down. He then sits inside the car and compliments its sound insulation system, which prevents him from hearing anything going on outside. He also makes it clear to us that he is not trying to listen to Kiara's business because of him having any intrusive thoughts. He is simply trying to upsell his car. But we all know that he too is a man of culture. Now that everything is done, it's time to set up the car to get a good night's sleep. Kiara is amazed to see how the car can transform this way, and Umi soaks in the praises for his vehicle. The cat girl asks Umi if he built this himself, but he reveals he simply bought it. We are then taken to a flashback where our hero was reading through a magazine and found one of the featured articles in it talking about the car. In that magazine, a picture of a happy couple camping totally impacted him, and even he wanted to have that experience. It was basically a moment of, "It should have been me." Now, he does have a chance to camp with a cute girl, but Umi surely didn't think it would be a cat girl. Anyway, the couple goes to sleep, but Kiara tells our hero that he better not try anything shady with her because she will use her knife on him. Umi simply agrees, but then Kiara says that if he does want to do something shady, then it will cost him one seaweed snack. That's a pretty low bar, but the cat girl is ready to give Umi the pass even for a cup of instant noodles. Our hero tells her that he does not have either of those two items anymore, so Kiara hilarious demands for his life instead. Umi is offended that his life is worth the same to her as a pack of ramen, so he tells her to just go to sleep already. The cat girl passes out, but Umi is still awake and he thinks about how the car was an impulse buy for him. He could charge the car while at work, but even then, the loan amount was way too high for him to handle. Plus, he had a habit of driving away to an empty road and drinking coffee there whenever he had a bad day at work. For some strange reason, Umi would also sleep in his car on Fridays, just because he knew the next day was a holiday. Apparently, this kind of lifestyle is called overnight parking or van life, but it's not as fun as our hero is making it sound. In essence, it's just his form of escape. It was also why he chose this car to run away from office. A lot of thoughts seem to clutter in his head, and due to this, he is not able to get any sleep. Now, we move to the next day and can see Kiara waking up. She can smell something nice, so she steps out of the car to see Umi making some coffee. He offers her some, and she cutely calls it meow fee. Our hero feels the cat girl is just doing this on purpose now, and he turns out to be right. Kiara reveals that her mom had taught her to behave this way because it made her look cute. Comic Guzzlers shares Umi's opinion that her mom is indeed very smart. He hands a cup of coffee to her and watches as she cutely blows on it. This clearly does something to our hero, but he tries to behave himself. That's when Kiara reveals that she is doing this on purpose as well, just like her mom had told her to. This obviously annoys him, and he laments how he is being toyed with. Kiara takes this as Umi calling her cute, but our hero can't afford to be caught lacking because she is a kid. Now, Kiara tries another cuteness technique by peeking at Umi again and again. He tells her to stop with this, so Kiara finally takes a sip of the coffee. It turns out to be a bit too hot for her to handle, and she makes this known with a rather shady face. This is enough to make our hero turn over to the dark side, but Kiara is not doing this on purpose. She thinks the taste is too bitter and the coffee is really hot, so she doesn't like it at all. The cat girl asks Umi if he messed up while making it, but the only thing on his mind is that he is not a lolicon. He just thinks that she is too cute for her own good, but the point remains that Kiara doesn't like his coffee. Our hero explains to her that this is a flavor only adults like, and she won't get it because she's a child. The cat girl doesn't like being called a kid, but the fact remains that her taste buds are exactly like that. Umi takes the coffee from her and adds some milk cocoa to it in order to increase its sweetness. He presents to Kiara what most would call a cafe mocha, and she can already sense the sweetness coming from it. One sip of this, and she falls in love with it immediately. This only further proves the fact that she is a kid, and she can't stop using the cute cat dialogue either. Umi thinks she's overdoing it, but that's all right. He knows it's still a little bitter, but it's mostly sweet, which is why it has more of a kid flavor. Of course, adding milk to it would have made it even better, but you've got to work with what you've got. Kiara says that since she likes this, she is well on her way to becoming an adult, but that is not how things work. Our hero takes this as a challenge and decides that he will make the cat girl's coffee a little stronger every time he gives her a new serving. Now, the duo makes their way towards Kiara's main destination, but she feels like she will just barely be able to make it at the current pace. Our hero figures that she wants him to go a little faster, but there are other issues too. The car can't go through the last forest on their way, and there's no detour either, so they'll only be able to make it the next afternoon. After a lot of discussion, Both of them decide that it's better to be on track since they're already halfway there. Kiara still feels she'll just be able to make it on time, so there's no big fuss. Umi feels it should not be an issue because Kiara is injured after all, but she says that it's entirely her fault, so she can't use that as an excuse. Our hero still tells her that she did not make any explicit promises, and if she acts cute, she'll be let off the hook. This makes Kiara wonder if Umi is the kind of person who breaks promises, but he tells her she is looking at it the wrong way. After all, if a deadline is causing some conflict between life and work, then it is always important to choose life. We can see that he is seeing an instant comparison here with his own office life back in his original world. The cat girl states that she is aware of this, but sometimes she takes up jobs that are risky for her life, but she still takes them on because she likes to finish what she starts. Umi figures that she would make for the perfect corporate slave and would be a much better fit for his company than he ever was. The cat girl now wonders if our hero hates the idea of working, but he says that hate is too strong a word to use. He then explains that he only works so that he can earn money and live. He has no interest in being an exceptional employee, as he likes to just get by life. He feels you can either be lucky enough to do what you love or become a corporate drone. He also feels that no job is worth going the extra mile for, and then goes on to abuse his bald boss for thinking he's hot stuff for spouting garbage lines all the time. Now, Umi makes fun of customers and clients for being too picky and annoying. He also teases Kiara for figuring out that her life is only worth her job at the wise old age of 16. Kiara now gives a serious face and reveals that she does not like her current job. This causes an awkward silence, after which the cat girl reveals that the only things she has going for her are her strength and her speed. This was the only job she could get right now, but Umi is surprised that she is doing a job she does not even like one bit. The cat girl says that she does find it rewarding, but this confuses Umi because she is making it seem like she enjoys her work. Kiara makes it even more confusing by saying she just doesn't feel like it's work. Our hero needs some proper clarity on what's going on, so Kiara asks him if he has ever felt as if no one has any expectations from him. She clearly seems to think he does know what it feels like, but Umi asks her where she is trying to go with this. Now, the cat girl reveals that her family is poor, and she had to start working when she was just 10 years old. Even so, it was hard for her to get a job, as no one had any expectations from her. After all, she was a child with no talent, so nobody would want to hire her. However, when she actually started working, people would have expectations from her, and she would gain their faith whenever she would fulfill them. By doing this again and again, people began to trust her, and this opened up job opportunities that paid better. In other words, there's always hope, which is why Kiara finds her work worth the effort. Umi feels it's a bit of a stretch to connect those three things together, and then he asks Kiara what she has to say about people who have no expectations from anyone. He asks what a person should do then, but Kiara asks him if he has ever been tasked with a proper job. He says yes, but to him, it's always been a job that didn't matter to him. The cat girl doesn't see a problem in this case because if nobody trusted you in the first place, then they would not have even given you the job. However, Umi feels it's the exact same thing as not expecting him to do a good job. It's always some kind of useless task which keeps him on a leash. We can see some rage building in our hero, but Kiara says that even if it is a little job, she will do her best to fulfill those expectations. This because she knows that it will eventually form into hope. Unfortunately, this makes Umi upset, and he stops the car while also telling the cat girl to shut up. Kiara bumps her head, and then Umi says that he does not expect anything from himself. The cat girl says that expecting nothing from one's own self is different from when someone else is expecting something from you. Umi can't take this anymore, and he tells Kiara to stop with her chat. She says that if people would expect something from you, then you should at least expect something from yourself first. Umi becomes extremely triggered and tells Kiara to stop staring at him with those glaring eyes of hers. The cat girl says that there's no way people can expect anything from him if he doesn't feel the same way about himself. Of course, this pushes Umi past his breaking point and he starts crying. He also tells Kiara to get out of the car because he does not want her to assume she knows what she's talking about. The cat girl looks at him oddly, but he does not like that at all, so he asks her to get out once again. Kiara is very serious, and this may not be her fault, but she understands and decides to leave. She thanks our hero for taking care of her, but at this point, he definitely isn't acting like one. Now, it's time for some philosophy, so hit some blunts if you want. Umi looks back on his life and wonders where it all went wrong for him. He then realizes that it was probably when he was not able to get into a premier high school, whereas his older brother was able to do it with ease. From this point onward, the way our hero's parents looked at him also changed, so naturally, it messed with his head. He ended up living a bland high school life in a cheap institute. He didn't do any club activities and only focused on studying. It was pretty much the same for him in university as well. He did socialize a bit, but he never did anything out of the ordinary. It was different than what he had expected, and it turns out that his biggest fear is that of other people's expectations. He devoted himself into becoming average, or in this case, mid. It's the same with work too, as he is the only one left behind while all his other peers have moved ahead in life. However, on that one day when he didn't do what was assigned to him, he had simply thought that nobody would say anything to him, as they would not have expected much. And then he realized that it was not as he had thought it would be. The problem was not irrelevant, and nobody took his side in the argument with his bald boss, who actually is not as bald or bad as he was made out to be. Umi needs some kind of reassurance that someone will comfort him during these difficult times. But now, he has clarity based on what Kiara said to him. He suddenly realizes that he has made a big mistake, and he calls out to Kiara, who is walking outside by herself. Umi curses himself and then drives up to Kiara to offer her the free ride again. He does it nervously, but the cat girl seems to be set in her ways, and she refuses it. Our hero feels really bad about what happened, so he parks the car up ahead and steps out of it. He asks Kiara if she is genuinely not going to get back into the car, and she says she won't. This is not going to lead to anything productive at all. So Umi bows down to Kiara and says sorry to her for what he had done. He does not know any better way to say this, so he confesses that he was just taking out his own anger on the cat girl. It's a bit embarrassing too, because this is not how an adult should behave with a child. Umi says that whatever Kiara told him was true, and if he's being honest, it's really shameful that he asked her to get out of the car. His problems are his fault, and the cat girl was only trying to encourage him to do better. However, the thought of a kid telling him what to do was what made him angry, and his ego took over. After all, he was the one who made Kiara say all of this in the first place, so he is truly sorry for his words. Now, he is definitely behaving more like a hero, and the cat girl gets back into the car before he can even complete his apology. However, there is one thing that she still can't forgive him for, and that is calling her a child. She is an adult now, and even though that may not be an excuse for Drake and his zesty self to DM her, it does show how mature she is for her age. It's time to get going now, because there isn't a lot of time left for the cat girl to make her delivery. Umi gets into the car and steps on it, but there is definitely a different kind of energy now inside the car. Some time passes by with neither of them speaking a word to each other. So our hero asks the cat girl if she is fine with him making some noise for the engine to heat up and generate some electricity. She says that it's still bright outside, so it should not be a problem, but there is not a lot of energy behind her voice. Umi realizes that he is reaping what he has sown, as this is a very awkward chat between him and her. It is what it is though, so our hero has to come up with something to regain the lively nature of Kiara. Suddenly, the cat girl decides to apologize as well, because the whole speech she gave earlier was just her repeating what her father had told her. The whole idea of living up to other people's expectations leading to hope was entirely her dad's idea. The funny thing is that Kiara says this in her cute cat voice, which means she is getting back to normal. Umi sees an opening, so he asks Kiara if her dad happens to have bunny ears. She says yes and becomes very energetic about it, adding that her dad has a very strong tail too. Our hero does not know what to make of this, but the cat girl goes on and on about how her dad has crazy muscles and a great beard too. Now, Kiara says sorry once again for talking, as if she was an expert on the matter, whereas she was only repeating her dad's advice. Umi rightfully tells her she has no need to say sorry because the way she spoke about it did make it seem as though she understands her father's words. Now, Kiara teases Umi by saying she's been working for longer than he has, so she would definitely know better. All her modesty goes away as she talks about being the real expert between them. She also says that her dad told her anyone who apologizes from the bottom of their heart will grow up to be a fine adult. Umi agrees, and the cat girl goes on to explain how she has seen a lot of working adults. So, when our hero said sorry to her, who is a girl much younger to him, it was an amazing gesture. She is positive that Umi will grow even more than he has right now, although she still refers to him as out. Umi still feels that he needs the people around him to trust him a little before he can trust himself. The cat girl says that he needs to expect at least a little bit more from himself in order for that to happen. She wants him to start believing in himself little by little. This seems to strike a chord with our hero, so he has a question for Kiara. He does not want it to seem like he is disagreeing with her. He wants to know what would happen if he was not able to grow. However, she says that he can definitely grow, and he should take it easy for now. Kiara then says that at the very least, she believes in him and she blushes while saying so. This makes a world of a difference to Umi, and he thanks her for this. After some time, the two of them decide to set up camp, and Kiara asks Umi to gather a whole lot of tree branches for her. She adds some specifications like dry branches and dead branches, because they are easier to burn. Umi does as she says, and then he goes out to gather the branches. As he does this, he notices the last forest, which has massive trees. Umi would never have been able to drive through this place, and also reveals to us that he is out of food. He should be fine because it's only for a day or so. As he comes back from his task, Umi is not able to find Kiara, so he looks around for her. She does show up, but with some fish that she caught from the river. Umi tells her not to push herself because of her injury, but she says she is fine. She wants to roast the fish for dinner, but our hero does not know how to light a fire. It's not an issue for the cat girl, as she happens to have some magic stones that can create fire instantly when rubbed together. Of course, Umi had no idea about such things existing here, but anyway, the two of them sit down to roast the fish. They look similar to rainbow trout, and Umi is grateful to have at least something to eat. Both Kiara and Umi rejoice because the fish happens to be delicious. The cat girl explains why it's best to roast this kind of fish, and our hero is surprised by the slight sweetness of the meat even without applying any salt. Umi was not too keen on camping here, but the whole idea of catching fish and eating has changed his mind now. He even considers adding some seasonings and utensils to his car in the future. That is, of course, if he can ever get back home. This actually kicks up a whole sequence of thoughts in his head, and he thinks about setting up an electric stove in the car. Our hero adds this to the list of things he needs to buy, but then he realizes that it's going to cost a lot of money. Later, Umi looks away while Kiara changes, and waits for her to confirm once she's done. It turns out that there was some fresh river water to boil, and this has allowed Umi to wash their clothes. He has given Kiara a spare t-shirt to wear, and she looks quite cute in it. Our hero can't afford to awaken the lolicon within, so he gives Kiara a blanket and tells her to go to sleep. She makes a sweet face and asks if he too is going to sleep with her, and this raises his blood pressure to 1,000. Anyway, Kiara says that it doesn't look like Umi is going to sleep anytime soon, because he has his laptop in front of him. Our hero says that he figured it would be good to get some work done, but the deadlines have already passed. He doesn't know if he will be able to return home either, but this is a different Umi, and he does not want to leave any part of his work unfinished. However, he says he's just kidding and doesn't even know why he feels like working right now. Kiara offers her support and says that it's a good idea to keep working. After all, she feels that he will make a lot of money once he finishes the work, and she wants him to buy her seaweed snacks and ramen with it. After some banter, decides to get to it, but asks if the light from the laptop is bothering the cat girl. Kiara says that it's no problem at all because she can sleep in any kind of situation. On that note, the cat girl goes to sleep, and our hero begins his work. The night passes by, and Umi thinks about how Kiara has placed her expectations on his potential rather than his work. This simple thought has made him so calm in a way that he had never imagined. Maybe it has always been like that, but he just never realized it. After a while, Umi gets some work done, and he is quite happy about it. Now he can sleep in peace, or so he had thought. Our hero wakes up to see an odd area which definitely looks like a place from Earth, and he recognizes it too. After checking out the area, Umi can see a monastery and realizes that he is living out one of his memories. A bald monk shows up and greets him with respect. As per Umi's memories, he was traveling to Ashigara and found this Buddhist temple along the way. He went inside almost as if something was luring him in, and then the monk told him that the destination he is searching for could be obtained easily. The monk then extended his hand and said that with his power, he will be able to send Umi to any place he desires to go. Of course, there was a price attached to it, and this is when it all comes together for Umi. He wakes up and figures that all of this is because of the priest, but it's not like he can do anything about it now, so he lets it be. He also notes down this memory so that he can use it as a clue for going back home. Umi only just realizes that he had passed out after his work, and laments that he needs a nice, slim mattress. He looks around the car but can't find Kiara, so he calls out to her. There is no response, so our hero gets worried and rushes out of the car. To his relief, he can see Kiara in front of him with some apples that she got from the forest. Umi takes one of the apples and then asks the cat girl how her leg is doing. If she moves around too much, then it could cause problems. To his surprise, Kiara claims to be fully recovered now, and she says this is because she belongs to the Juju tribe. People from this tribe are strong and can heal quickly, so it makes sense for them to be beast people. The cat girl says it's easy for her to walk now, and she even shows her completely recovered foot. Umi is amazed, but Kiara says he is the reason this could happen so quickly. After all, she didn't need to use her legs because of his driving. Our hero is just glad to hear this, and then Kiara says they should enjoy the apples now. Umi suggests using a knife, but the cat girl has sharp fangs, so she bites into the apple with ease. It's a big bite too, which makes Umi a bit scared of her. Kiara seems to love the apples, so Umi takes a bite of it too, and is impressed by how juicy and tasty it is. Kiara tells him that this is called an apple, but our hero already knows that. What he does not understand is how the apples are so tasty here. The cat girl explains that this area has land that is very fertile, which is why there are tons of fruits to be enjoyed here. Umi is surprised that he is just eating a regular apple, but then again, it has been a while since he was last able to eat one. It's so good that our hero says the skin is delicious too. This inspires him to try picking apples if he is able to get back to Earth, but for now, Kiara has a question for him. She wants to know what he is going to do once she leaves him, which is not something Umi had expected at all. He asks her if she has to leave now, but she says that she has no other choice, otherwise she won't make it to her delivery. It's not like Umi had any plans as such because he is completely clueless in this world. The cat girl says that if he is not able to find a way back home, then he will need to find a job over here in this world. She can also sense that he is hungry, which he admits to without any hesitation. Our hero wants to know where the nearest town is, so that he can at least get some kind of job, but Kiara does not know how she can explain the way to him. She will have to show it to him, so she asks if he can wait here for 2 days. That's a big ask, but Kiara promises to be back once she's done with her delivery. Umi does appreciate this, but he does not want his friend to take so much trouble for him. She simply says this is her way of paying him back for bringing her this far. She knows she wouldn't have made it here if it weren't for him, so she really wants to help out our hero too. Cinda, these parts are safe, there's not a lot to worry about, but Umi still takes some time to think about it. The cat girl teases him, asking if he has gotten used to being with her, but he says that he is not a child. Having said that, he knows that he would have been really lonely without Kiara, so he thanks her for staying with him this entire time. So now, he agrees to stay back while Kiara heads out to finish her job. In order to pass the days, Umi continues with his task, and he uses the apples that Kiara got as sustenance. The routine is quite intense, and our hero wonders why he has a desire to work on this task so much all of a sudden. He has made great progress as well, so that's a good thing. This might be because of lesser distractions, so Umi wonders if he works better when around nature. He has a lot of theories for this, including the magic stones too, but he can only assume for now. His work has had no errors either, despite repeated checks from Umi. Not that it should matter much, so he considers it a miracle for now. Among the many other things he considers, our hero also wants a proper desk and chair so that he can do his work more efficiently. He has other problems to worry about though, as the mushrooms and fish that Kiara had brought earlier are all over now. He tries his hand at catching fish from the river, but our hero is not a cat girl, so he fails miserably. He only has the apples now, and he laments the fact that he can't cook them into a pie or jam. Taking a risk with the mushrooms is not worth it because they could be poisonous. Umi adds a lot of items to his shopping list, but the main issue is that Kiara has not yet come back. He worries that he may not see her again as tomorrow will be the 3rd day. Our hero figures he might as well try to search for a human settlement because he can't survive on just apples. It's been a few days since he came to this world, so he wonders if Yamakaze is the one who is stuck trying to clean up his mess back on Earth. Either way, he knows he's in for some trouble if he goes back now, so he should try to work here. He knows he can do it thanks to Kiara's motivation, so his anxiety is not as high as he thought it would be. He still hopes for the cat girl to come back so that she can be his middle woman. After all, Umi does not know the social behavior of this world, and he's awkward enough as it is. In the middle of all this thinking, our hero hears a loud roar, and he panics instantly. At first, he thinks it could be an elephant, but the only elephants on Comic Guzzlers can be found in some of our MC's pants. The roar sounded very violent, and that is not a good sign at all. After looking further ahead, Umi can notice someone running away from a dragon, and it looks like Kiara. This is not expected at all because it's not even nighttime as of now. Since Kiara has no choice but to outrun the dragon, our hero gets into his car and drives towards her. He calls out to the cat girl, asking her to get into his car, but the moment she sees him, she takes off in another direction. Umi does not like this, because he knows that Kiara is trying to keep him away from the dragon. Of course, our hero is not going to just let this happen, so he tries to think of a way to get the dragon away. Slamming into it will not work at all, but the dragon is catching up to Kiara, so Umi needs to think fast. There's no point in thinking too much about this, so our hero figures he should just get the dragon to focus on him instead. He starts honking his horn, hoping to taunt the dragon into shifting his attention, and it looks like it's working. Umi does succeed in distracting the beast, but the problem now is that the dragon has his eyes on him. There's no time to think, So Umi turns the car around and calls out to the dragon, hoping to steer it clear from Kiara. He knows he can't afford to have the dragon target Kiara again, so he keeps driving till they are out of her perimeter. Our hero picks up the speed, but it is of no use because the dragon is able to catch up to him without much effort. This is not looking good for Umi, and he is very scared, which is a very normal reaction to what is happening right now. After some time, he is able to drive his car off a cliff, with the dragon following right after him. It's a very intense scene, and Umi wonders if he is going to make it to the other side without falling into the water below. Time seems to slow down as he's falling, and we can see that he has managed to get the dragon away as well. So, Umi doesn't have much else to say as he feels he is going to fall to his doom. He says good job to himself and then waits for the inevitable. Now, we go back to the Buddhist temple where our hero can be seen talking to the monk. He tells Umi that he is a rare one who is the link between time and space. He basically has the ability to move across times and spaces, but his power is currently dispersed. This is probably why Umi is not able to use it at will. The monk decides to set some conditions now, which will make the power usage easier for our hero. As he does this, he casts a spell on our hero's car too, making it easier for him to travel across time and space. Suddenly, Umi wakes up and wonders what happened. He remembers being chased by the dragon, but then he can see that he has come back to his home world on his own. He is in front of the store where he bought the snacks and the ramen from. Umi can see that he has woken up in a cold sweat, so everything he experienced so far must have been a dream. Could be a good thing because this way he knows that Kiara is not real, so there was never any danger to her life. Umi tells us that he does like to take naps in the back, so he may have been sleepwalking too. However, when he checks his car, he can see the mess that he had made earlier while camping with Kiara. So basically, he was definitely not dreaming, and the cat girl was indeed real. As he holds an apple, Umi worries that Kiara has been left all alone over there. She came all the way back for him, and he left without even saying anything. Sure, he got the dragon to fall down with him, but he left Kiara there all alone. Our hero hopes that Kiara at least has some supplies with her, but he knows that she can handle herself quite well. The problem is that he does not know how to go back to the other world at will. He checks the time, but is shocked to see that it is still Friday, which should not be the case. Umi spent over 3 days in the other world, so it looks like time flies differently there. Umi wonders if he can still present his work on time, but that does not matter as he still has the cat girl on his mind. Now, we see our hero back to his daily routine, which is the typical life of a corporate slave. Umi feels he is going to get scolded pretty badly today, and the mood in the air is quite gloomy too. Anyway, it's time to go on with his life, so Umi heads towards his office. Now, we learn that our hero was able to get into this company mainly due to his dad's reference. This was why when he would usually make mistakes, not a lot of people would scold him for it. He would still get paid, so life wasn't even that bad for him. Umi knows that he does not belong here, but having said that, he is not going to quit his job either. He wants to keep making money so that he can buy tasty snacks and eat them with Kiara. Umi now enters a room where he can see Yamazaki, the general manager, and the section chief as well. He works up all the courage he has and presents his report to the team. He also apologizes for all the trouble he has caused up until this point, which surprises everyone. Yamazaki tells him that it's not just about apologizing and being forgiven, to which the others also agree. Umi knows that he should not expect forgiveness either, especially due to his attitude. After handing out some scolding, the seniors ask what our hero is holding in his hands. He reveals it's the report that was supposed to be delivered today. He has finished it, which shocks Yamazaki because Umi did absolutely nothing in front of him yesterday. That is true, but only as per the timing of this world. He does not want to make a bad excuse and mess things up, so he decides to keep quiet, Anyway, it's a great cheat skill to be able to go to a world where 3 days pass as 12 hours on Earth. The work is good, but the section head says that all of this could have been done at the company. After all, Umi did leave early without taking permission. He knows that and apologizes once again, but then the general manager notices an extra report. It's a proposal that Umi added as he was preparing the materials for the report. He says that it may not relate directly to the current base, but he feels that adding certain pointers would help as a solution to the current problems. The general manager has a look at it and is surprised that Umi was able to learn while surrounded by nature. Even so, he says it's a terrible proposal which is not even made in the right format. Our hero says sorry once again, as he did not have internet in Kiara's world. However, he can't really say that here, so he continues to bow down. There are lots of negative thoughts creeping into Umi's head, but he manages to step out of the darkness and tries to think of a way to help himself. The general manager says that the proposal lacks appeal and quality, so he's surprised that Umi is in his second year here. Our hero has to apologize yet again, but then the general manager says that even with all these problems, the proposal is not that bad. He feels they can present this to their clients in time for a due apology from their end. There's still some time left for the meeting with the client, so the general manager tells the section head to go over the report with Yamazaki. Once they leave the room, the general manager tells Umi that his father had asked him to take care of him. He seems to owe a lot to Umi's dad, which was why he helped out our hero. The look he gives Umi is a bit scary, and it makes him wonder if he is about to get fired. That won't be a good thing because he still has to pay off his car loan. He also wants to see Kiara again, but before that, the general manager asks him if he actually likes his job. Umi freezes for a second, and then he says that he doesn't have much to offer, but he will at least try to live up to the expectations placed on him. The general manager asks if he is sure about this, to which he says he will at least do the minimum. It's not anything special, but our hero has improved on his attitude, which is a good thing. The general manager now tells Umi to go over his proposal with the section head and also tells him to do his best, so that they can figure a way to use him properly. This is good news for our hero, and he thanks the general manager for his faith. He's very relieved, but everyone at office keeps staring at him as if they want him to leave. Umi figures this can't be helped, but then someone tells him he did a good job. It's a cute girl named Kamidera, who offers some coffee to him. Her name is derived from the Oasis of Healing, and it's a big deal for our hero to be given coffee from her. She says it's fine, but then taunts him by mentioning this could be the last time she's doing it. This could be a taunt or something nicer, but it's hard to say at this point. Either way, Umi gets to work as he now has a purpose. He does not care what others may think of him, and then he decides to do something extreme. He goes to the section head, whose name is Nonomiya, and he asks to join the meeting with the client. As he does this, he realizes that apologies are really tough when you do them sincerely. He remembers Kiara as well, and he also gets let into the meeting with the clients. Now that Umi has more clarity, he realizes that he was seeing his peers and seniors very negatively, which was not how they actually were. Now that he is sorted in the head, Umi only thinks about chilling with Kiara and having tasty snacks with her. He rests in his bed, and then goes to the grocery store the next day to buy everything on his shopping list. As he picks up more items, he thinks about how Kiara would react to them if he sees her again. Our hero picks up a rice cooker too, and then heads home. He feels as if some kind of spell has been cast on his car, which is literally what the monk had said earlier. He has a funny scene where his mom catches him sleeping in the car, and then he realizes that his garage at home doesn't work. Umi needs a new sunshade, so he goes to the grocery store again on Sunday. The super packed, but he gets his purchases done and has a chill day. Umi feels he enjoyed a bit too much, but anyway, he inflates his mattress and goes to sleep. He hopes to travel to Kiara's world again by sleeping in a specific spot, but it doesn't work and he wakes up to his alarm. Umi barely makes it to work on time, but he really wants to go back to Kiara. He reads some comics on reincarnation in another world, but it does not make sense to try to die right now. Plus, what happened with him wasn't reincarnation or summoning, but more like warping. The monk did call Umi a shifter, so maybe that's exactly what he is. Our hero figures he's like a downshifter and upshifter, which makes him feel like the protagonist of a light novel. He should just ask the priest about his powers, but then he realizes that there is a strange mountain in front of him. It's the same one where he met the monk, so he tries to drive to it, but he doesn't get any closer, and it doesn't even show on his navigator. Something seems to be up because Umi can only see the front side of the mountain. He tries to make a bigger turn to see the other side of the mountain, but then it suddenly disappears, which is quite odd. More than a week passes by, and Umi has still not been able to find a way to the mountain or the other world. This makes him wonder if he truly was just imagining things right from the start. Even if all of this wasn't real, it does not mean that Umi will stop expecting things from himself, as he has become a much better man now. He has no choice but to keep moving forward if he has to grow, just like Kiara had told him. Umi thinks about heading out tomorrow on his own, but then the shift change suddenly happens without him realizing it. Our hero seems to be in some new area that he does not recognize, but he is most definitely not in his house anymore. In order to understand what just happened, we need to go to a flashback where we see Umi at Lake Tiga. He had come here after concluding that he was just imagining things about Kiara. He explores the area and visits the farmer's market too, but seems to be a bit late. Umi enjoys lots of items, like soft serves, but ends up spending a bit too much at the produce section. He has no regrets though, so he continues on his merry way. Then, he goes to the roadside station to enjoy the hot spring there. He has a good time in the spring, and as he washes his face, he wonders why he had such a detailed dream. Our hero seems to have upgraded his mattress with an aluminum sheet for insulation. He hasn't done it perfectly, but he's done it well enough for now. After seeing his car fully charged, our hero decides to go to sleep. He has been having a good time, but all the exhaustion from work is taking away his motivation to continue. Having said that, Umi wants to live up to Kiara's expectations of him, so he won't back down. He still feels that she is an imaginary woman, so he does not let it get to his head. As he continues to think about the cat girl, our hero passes out and then wakes up to the cries of someone asking for help. It's quite hot, so Umi gets out of the car to see what's up. To his shock and surprise, he finds himself in a new world, but it's not the same place as the one with Kiara. The GPS still says he's at the same location, so Umi has shifted once again. Our hero is taken aback by this, as he realizes he was never dreaming about this world. He does admit that he should not have expected to come back to the exact same spot as before, but there does not seem to be any human settlement or forest nearby. There's way too much dust, so Umi has to switch on the air conditioner, even if it will take up more battery. At least he turns on the eco-saver mode to show he cares about his bills. As he prepares to drive away, Umi notices something on the ground. It looks like a person, so our hero thinks it's Kiara. He rushes to her, but sees that she is not Kiara and does not even have the same hair as the cat girl. She may have been here for a while as her body is burning up, but she is alive, so Umi needs to help her. He puts the girl in the car to cool her down, but notices that she has some wooden cuffs on. Umi wants to give her water, but he doesn't know if she will choke from it. He can't even check the internet for answers, but the girl's lips sure seem to be dry. Our hero decides to soak a napkin with water, and he gives the girl a drop at a time. After enough water goes down, the girl wakes up, but she panics out of fear. Umi asks her to calm down because he is not trying to hurt her or anything like that. He explains he was just trying to give her some water, and then he asks if she is okay. The girl is a bit confused, so Umi asks her to drink the water and feel better. He reassures her that there is nothing fishy in the water, but then the girl passes out. This could be a heat stroke, so Umi decides to use the first aid kit he bought to give her a cooling pack. The girl wakes up soon enough, so our hero asks her if she is fine now. The girl does not say anything for now, so Umi allows her to rest under his new sunshade, which also makes his air conditioner work better. The problem now is trying to figure out where to go, and the girl still seems to be in shock. She points her figure towards a direction, so Umi asks if that's where she wanted to go. Suddenly, she faints again, so figures she should rest for a bit while he continues driving. Later, we can see the girl is awake, but she still has her cuffs on. Umi wishes her a good morning, although the sun is about to set now. He offers her some water, and she comes closer to him, showcasing an increased sense of trust. He asks her if she wants to take the cuffs off because she definitely does not look like a criminal to him. She does present her hands to him, so Umi asks her to wait as he takes the cuffs off. He uses a drilling device which he never thought would be utilized for such a thing, but here he is. Umi asks the girl not to panic as he takes the cuffs off, and he succeeds quite easily. He then offers her some water, and she chugs it down instantly, which should have been expected. Umi drinks some coffee to refresh himself, but the girl looks at him with puppy eyes, as if to ask for more water. She turns around and realizes that they are at an oasis, so there's plenty of water to enjoy for now. It's quite cool too, as they are shaded from the sun, and Umi tells the girl it should be fine for her to indulge for a bit. He also suggests setting up camp here, and then he gets to work. Umi goes for a swim in the oasis while also checking for danger, as he is the adult over here. Everything seems to be fine for now, and as a matter of fact, our hero considers this to be a luxury. The water is nice and cool, so he goes to the girl and hands her a soap which she can use to clean herself. He also gives her some fresh clothes, and the girl bows her head to him in appreciation. Umi considers her to be a sweet girl, and then he puts on the blindfold so that she can go and get changed. A huge rock mountain appears, and even though it may not be a village, it's definitely better than a bug stampede. Umi knows it would be much better to use the supplies he has right now, as there is not point risking anything for food when he has no idea of what to expect. He had also asked the girl if there were any monsters here, and she shook her head to confirm there weren't any. This makes our hero realize that the girl has not said a single word till now, and he does not even know her name. Maybe she is just too shy, but maybe she can write and communicate with him. After all, it will be tough to talk to someone if he doesn't know her name. The girl comes back, so Umi takes off the blindfold, and he can see that she is actually quite pretty. Our hero is smitten, although he shouldn't be awakening any Drake vibes. Just looking into her eyes is enough for him to lose his sense of thinking. He even calls her beautiful right to her face. What is going to happen next now for Umi? Is he going to get out of this desert soon? And what about Kiara? Is she here somewhere? Or is she in another place altogether? How is the story going to unfold moving further for Umi? Like, share, and subscribe if you're ready to become men of culture once again. We were out of the game for a while, but now we're back and we're not going to stop. Please keep supporting us at Comic Guzzlers, and we will do our best to give you uniquely narrated stories to keep you engaged. Okay then, see you in the next one.